And away we go.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. I'd like to talk a little bit more
Okay.
about the NPE Fellowship. Okay.
Okay.
Um, you want to give a brief synopsis of the NPE Fellowship for listeners who may not know what that is?
Sure. In the first year of the DNA NPE Friends Facebook group, as it grew rapidly, we began to see more and more of a need for people who had made contact with their surprise biological parent. In most cases, it was the biological father. And they were like, okay, I finally got in touch with him. And he said that he would take the test to make sure he doesn't think he's my dad, but he said he'll take the test. But the problem is I don't have money to send him a test, and he's not going to pay for one himself, and I don't know what to do. So our members were so compassionate and jumped in and said, well, I'll buy a test for him. And this happens several times. So we finally decided, you know what, we need to have some sort of a system in place to protect our members from being taken advantage of, to make sure that these people are genuine people and not just somebody that's out looking for a free test. So I said, well, let's set up an organization that can do these grants. And if you want to donate a test to the organization will then screen these people before we let them have a test. And then we'll pass the test on to really fast into a couple of other things that we're doing now. So we created the organization NPE Friends Fellowship as a nonprofit so that people could donate to it towards tests that we could give out, and also for a travel grant program that has only been used a few times. For example, if you find out that you're an NPE and you live in California and your biological father lives in New Jersey, and he is 87 years old and his health is rapidly declining and he's about to go into dementia, and his family that he has with him has told you, listen, if you want to meet him, you need to come this week because he's declining pretty quick. Well, you've been saving up your money to go visit him in 6 months, but you don't have that enough money saved yet for that trip. And you know that you need to get to him quickly or you're going to miss the opportunity to meet him. Our organization will screen and confirm that this is a valid need. And once we've confirmed that, then we will issue a travel grant. And usually what we've done is we've either made the rental car reservation for somebody who needed to travel 500 miles and they just wanted to rent a car to get there, and they already had their accommodation set up, but they just couldn't afford a car rental. So we rented the car for them. Another one was getting a plane ticket to go meet her father. And we supplemented, we couldn't pay for the whole plane ticket, but we supplemented and gave her some money towards it. We are a small organization. We don't have deep pockets, but we do what we can to help our members so that they can make contact with their family if they're possibly on their deathbed or whatever. They're not doing well. So it started out to be a travel grant program and a DNA test kit program where we would send out DNA test kits to the prospective parent or prospective sibling if the parent was deceased, so that they could get confirmation that they are related to each other. We're very proud of these programs, and we're happy to be able to help our NPEs get the answers that they need. And from there, we have grown into different educational initiatives. We've got some work going on right now to prepare some videos that we're going to have available for people to watch that are going to be very informative and educational and helpful for NPEs and their families who are struggling with this new discovery. So there's a lot of things that we want to do. We've put on a couple of conferences and retreats. We've had a couple of daytime seminars. We'd like to be able to do more of that. Another thing I'm very proud of is that I have been asked to present at the 8th World Congress on Family Law and Children's Rights in Singapore. I was supposed to be traveling there in July, but because of the coronavirus, it has been put off for 1 year. So the goal is I will be going to Singapore in July of 21 to represent the NPE Friends Fellowship and the NPE community and carry our message to the people who are the lawmakers worldwide. These are the people who are looking for new ideas on things they can do to change laws to protect children and to do what's in the best interest of the child. And they have asked me to come. It's usually by invitation only, after a very lengthy application process to be a speaker at these things. But they reached out to me before they even started taking the applications and said, we want you to apply. So I consider it a huge honor that they want to hear our stories. They want a voice there for us. So that's one of the big things I'm planning on doing next year.
Wow, what an amazing platform to raise awareness for this entire cause. That's extremely exciting. Very exciting.
It is.
So I have some inside information, so I'm going to kind of direct this in the way I want it to go.
Okay.
You do this of your own free will and accord. You don't make a dime off this, do you?
No, I don't. No, in fact, I think one of the goals I have for the fellowship, once we can get, we've grown so fast. We've grown because of the population of our community. We're having growing pains, obviously. So eventually, if we can get somebody in place who is a fundraising coordinator that can help us in that avenue, because I'm not an expert on nonprofits. I'm not an expert on anything really, except for keeping people alive. But my goal is to have a full-time staff at some point of at least 4 or 5 people that can focus all of their energy on the needs of the NPE community. It is a huge challenge for me. I work full-time for the county attorney's office in Montgomery County, Texas. I am also the primary caregiver of my little sister who has severe cerebral palsy and is on life support at home with nurses with her while I work. So my days are pretty full, and it's a challenge for me to be able to invest as much time as we need into the fellowship activities. We also have a wonderful volunteer in Rebecca Drumsta, who is our public relations director and coordinator, and she's really wears so many different hats, so many more than just that. And she has put in 40, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes, working on fellowship activities because she's committed to our cause. And again, she also has not profited one bit, not a penny from any of this.
In fact, it costs you both money to do this.
Yes,
it's coming out of both of you. It's coming out of your own pockets at times.
Yes, it does. I don't talk a lot about that because, in my opinion,
I know you don't. That's why I'm talking about it.
Well, everybody has different. Donate 10%, you tie it to your church or whatever, or you donate to different organizations, charitable organizations. And to me, I feel like this is my charitable organization that I'm invested in. So, and I see every single day when I go into the group, I see the healing happening there, and it's worth every penny that is spent. It's worth every penny to me to see that we are saving lives.
The reason you are, you absolutely are. And the reason that I brought this up and steered it the way I did is because I know that you don't like asking people for money, but I'm going to do it right now. You know, I joined the fellowship to contribute. I bought the membership. I actually had a conversation with Michelle. I said, this is the least I can do because of what, and so I want to challenge any listeners who have benefited from the group to give back. There are ways. One is to become a member and for the annual membership. What is another way? I'm assuming that the fellowship accepts donations. How can someone do that? And before we give that information, I want to hit my point. I want people who have been a part of the organization, I want them to step back. And I know anyone that I would engage in conversation and talk about the benefits of being a part of the group, everyone responds immediately. They know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't know that, because it's human nature, we get caught up in our lives and we go day to day. I don't know how often people think of it. So what I want people to do is to step back and really think about how the group has benefited them. And just the things that we talked about earlier, having people to understand reading other people's stories, being able to having people comment on your posts and stories, or the listeners, and getting feedback and changing the way we think, and kind of being this. There's so many dynamics to it that anyone who has gotten something out of it, and everyone's financial situation is different. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if it's $5,000. I don't care if it's $50,000. Whatever you can afford, and however that correlates to what you think you've gotten out of it, please, if you can, give back, because you have a lot of things that are going to cost money in the future. And we've had these discussions. I know that some things haven't moved as quickly because the finances aren't there. And again, I want to point out that you would never, if you've known that we were going to have this conversation, you probably would have never agreed to it. But I don't care. I don't care. I have had this conversation. I'm business minded, and I've had this conversation with my wife, and I just want to encourage people. If you can, please contribute, and please pay this forward to help other people. There's a lot of things on board. And if you haven't been affected, but you know someone's been affected, or you're moved to help, we certainly love to have you get involved, and not just monetary, right? I mean, you're looking for volunteers as well.
I will say we've had several people that have come forward who said, I specialize in corporate planning, and I specialize in funding and different aspects, that it would be wonderful to have them volunteer, but then for one reason or another, it just never happens. And I'm not saying it's because of their lackadaisical. It's also me, because of how thin I'm spread. But we definitely need to put together a solid team of people who really will seriously, and this is something you need to really do a lot of soul searching on if you want to volunteer, to seriously commit to at least 1 year of so many hours per week, to invest your time as a volunteer, and map out a plan on what it is that your goals are for the fellowship, what it is that you feel like the fellowship will benefit from your expertise. That would be an enormous gift to the fellowship, in having people who are really seriously willing to roll up their sleeves and work side by side, other volunteers and our coordinator, Rebecca, or me, to accomplish the goals that we have.
Okay. Excellent. All right. We won't beat that to death. I don't want people, you know, I want them to enjoy this experience, but I felt it was critical that we point that out. And every organization needs support, and we need lots of it. So.